I kind of want to talk about the numbers right now because your second month, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you did 17 grand and then 10,000 of that was profit after everything. Like a little, I think it was like 10.2K was like the take home profit. Are you now making more with this business than what you were doing with your full-time job before? And then what was the numbers that you had in the month before you got to 17K? Because like that's a very good number for just your second month being fully operational. Like,
As far as numbers go, so like I said in July, my first month where I actually took cleans was I did like a little $700 or $800, somewhere around there. And then in August, I did 7,900 total revenue. And then in October, or then in September, I did 17,300 and some change.
so I'm with Davin today. We have another one of our students at DSA. Davin basically started his remote cleaning business a couple months ago. He's been fully operational. If you want, Davin, you can just start this off by giving like a little bit background on yourself, what you were doing before you started your business, when you started. I know that you're in the Michigan area, and then we'll just go from there.
For sure, yeah. So before I started the cleaning business, I was basically well, I work full time, right? So I still have a full time job. Um, I'm in the marketing and development area, and business ops type stuff. So a lot of the stuff translated, business processes, checklists, things like that, came pretty natural. But yeah, so right now I'm in my second full month. Well, I guess October is going to be the start of the third full month for me here. I started in July. I actually entered the program in June. Obviously, there was setup, building the website, getting everything going, things like that. I didn't start taking my first clients until mid-July. And then August was my first month, September my second full month, and then seeing what I can do here in October.
Sweet. And then how old are you, by the way? Just so people have an
I am
idea.
31.
So you're 31, and then is this the first business that you've kind of started on your own, or have you done anything like, have you had like an entrepreneurial passion in the past and done like little side hustles there and there, but like, or is this like the first actual like business now where it's like cash flowing, it's like real, like it's something that you can hold on to for hopefully a while from now?
Yeah, this is going to be the third one. The third one that I've owned myself. I'm also part of my full-time job is I co-run a new development project. So like I don't necessarily own the business, but I'm in charge of every aspect of it.
Mhm.
Um, I've owned a marketing company, a couple marketing companies, and then obviously this cleaning business. So yeah, I'm definitely really excited about the service-based industry though, especially with cleaning. It's just an ever-revolving door of just nonstop work if you can find it. Um, so it's, unlike a marketing company, right, where it's like you create something, obviously there's a lot of, monthly systems that you can have and, revenue models and things like that. But doing a service and then being done with it it's easy work, right? And
Yeah.
that's why I love the cleaning business stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping that, within the next year or so I can continue doing this and hopefully it'll be triple or quadruple what I'm doing now.
Hell yeah. And then so you came into DSA in June. I remember you made a post in July. Like technically August was like your first full month, but you still did like a couple grand in July, right?
No, I did. I think I did like
2,000?
790
Oh, 700
in,
bucks.
yeah, it was like 700 or 800 bucks in July for my first month. Really just trying to get, the big thing was trying to get good workers.
Mhm.
There was a point in time actually in the beginning of August. Like I said, the last couple of weeks of July is when I started. And then in the beginning of August, I did a lot of uh, having to run to go do some cleans myself. I didn't have the proper people, but I didn't want to stop, the influx of work that was coming in. So I definitely jeopardized some days at work to take off and, skirt out for an extra long lunch,
To
or,
grind
I
me a
was
little
sick a
bit, do
few
the
times during that period, but definitely got through it. It was a rocky road. But it was totally worth it. It was a little humbling too, like, hey, here I am cleaning a stranger's toilet. Let's get it done. Let's get
yeah.
this money, and I thought it was really cool actually. So I loved it. Yeah. And ever since then I've got the team in place now. So now I have solid four cleaners on board.
Mhm.
And then one person that specializes in some like some pressure washing stuffs, carpet cleaning, things like that, outdoory type service-based business stuff. But yeah, really four good house cleaners. They're only about 50% held up right now as far as how much work they have. So there's a lot of room for growth. So
There
I'm
we go.
excited for it.
Sweet. And then you said with like what you're currently doing full time. So when you heard about the opportunity of starting a cleaning business, was it just like the business model that like was most enticing to you? Because you have a biz ops background and like this whole thing is like you're essentially just another biz op because you're running the operations for this business. Now you're not doing any of the cleaning yourself. You were in the beginning because like stuff happens, but you have like the understanding where it's like, oh, like I just set up the business. I find providers that are going to be doing it. I operate, I run the sales, we do marketing, and then we just handle fulfillment with the people that we contract out. Like, was that the number one thing that kind of like struck out to you when you got started with this, where it's like, hey, like this is actually something that I could see myself doing?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in sales. I've been in obviously biz ops for a long time. So it's like a lot of this stuff just it's like, why not? I'm in front of my computer all the time anyway, so it just came it's natural for me. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons I gravitated towards it because I really wanted, a quote unquote side hustle that I could turn into a, hopefully soaring business that I could do from my computer.
Mhm.
Obviously, in the initial phases, I knew there was going to be, you have to be willing to get your hands dirty, right? When it comes down to it, if you want to keep a client, well, roll up your sleeves and go clean the toilet.
Yeah.
Um, and that was a good lesson to learn, and we're past that now. So I'm just really hoping here that all the pieces just keep kind of falling into place, and it's something that I'm able to just continue to do a few hours a day from my computer.
No, 100%. And then a lot of people they want to do this, but then they're in a similar situation with you where they have that other job that they have to show up to be able to make this happen. So when you got everything started, what did the work like obviously setting up the business is something that you can like do in parts, but when it was like actual time to turn on the ads, I know that you're a big advocate for ad spend and everything on LSA and on Thumbtack. How are you handling the inbound leads that were coming in while you're still working your full-time job? Like, do you have the ability to step out and take a phone call if you were to get a call or if you got a message on Thumbtack? Were you able to like cooperate with that, or did you just have like automation set up in the beginning where you were just closing through text? Like, what did that whole process look like? And then just planning to be able to do like the sales with like everything else that you had going on in the background.
Yeah, so I definitely keep myself busy, but with as far as work, my full-time job, I work remote. I work right from home. I do, I'm basically on an island, right? So for work, it's very, very nice. I'm probably in a different situation than a lot of others, so I wouldn't say that my current situation is something that's normal. I know there's a lot more remote workers out there now, so if you are working remote, I would definitely say it's something you'll have an easier time with. Obviously, if you're working, a 9 to 5 job or you have to go into an office, it's going to be harder to, get to sales, right, or do something
Yeah.
like that. So obviously, for a situation like that, there's, obviously I would have a different approach. It definitely made it a lot easier to commit to it. However, knowing that I work from home and I have all day to commit to it if I really need to. Um, so yeah, I'm lucky in that sense, right? Like I'm lucky from being able to work from home and being able to have the time to dedicate to those things. So yeah, I'm definitely lucky. And obviously, I think you could still for sure do it working a 9 to 5 by putting things like automations in there, having automatic follow-ups. Using a lot of the messaging type sequences as opposed to voice. So there's still a lot of room for everyone else too, right? Who doesn't work from home, but generally speaking, I would say if you work from home, you're definitely, are a little bit, above the rest, in terms of what you're going to be able to get done.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then I kind of want to talk about the numbers right now because your second month, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you did 17 grand and then 10,000 of that was profit after everything. Like a little, I think it was like 10.2K was like the take home profit. Are you now making more with this business than what you were doing with your full-time job before? And then what was the numbers that you had in the month before you got to 17K? Because like that's a very good number for just your second month being fully operational. Like a lot of people might do $6,000 in their second month after being fully operational. Like you were at 17, which is a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. Good question. So I think like my whole people have different reasons why they do, are going to do something like this. I was very, very adamant about when I started this, I'm not going to take a single dollar from the business for an entire year, right?
Mhm.
Other than paying, what I paid back, I paid my credit card back from what I bought into the program and everything like that. I'm good there, right? But other than that, nothing else is being taken out. for my benefit. It's all staying in the business, advertising, whatever it might be. As far as numbers go, so like I said, in July, my first month where I actually took cleans was I did like a little up $700 or $800, somewhere around there. And then in August, I did 7,900 total revenue. And then in October, or then in September, I did 17,300 and some change. Um, you were a little backwards on the numbers. So I had, there was a little bit over $10,000 in expenses,
Okay.
7,000 and some change. And I think gross profit, my net profit, after everything's said and done, all my expenses paid, a little bit under 5,000. Granted, I spent a lot, and that's like what I could have paid myself, right? I'm
Mhm.
not. It stays right where it needs to stay until, I have a nice chunk of money there that I can actually do something with. So that's another point that I would make, um, unless you have a real burning need for the money that this new business is generating you, then I would say hold off on taking any of it and try to use it to grow the business, buying new tools, buying new, marketing programs, advertising, putting your money back in that, because it's not, month one or two that you want to try to take funds from this. It's, year two is where you want to, look for profits. Um, but yeah, so I think I was around like a 40% margin in September, which yeah, it's really, really good. Granted, I've gotten my hands dirty quite a few times in September.
Yeah.
We did have quite a multi-figure jobs. And kind of to segue off of that too is something that I've really tried to do is expand what our service offerings are, right? So it's like I look at it as you're already inside of the person's home, right? When I can, when it's nearby, I always like to try to go to that person's home, and for the simple reason of what else can we help them with? What else can we do for them,
One
right?
thing real quick,
Whether
and
they need.
I was just gonna say real quick, Elias, he's getting an apprenticeship right now, so he can be able to do like electricianing work. So it's like he does a house, he does a clean, he looks at their ceiling fan and say, "Oh, you need a new ceiling fan. We can do that." Like I have a certification for that. So like that's even like another service that you guys can offer too if you want to write that down for after this. I know that you guys tapped into power washing and you said yourself that you were doing some of those power washing jobs as well.
Yeah, so I wouldn't do anything with actually have an Airbnb call. We'll call her back.
You can
Hold
answer it
on one
on this
second.
if you want. I don't care.
No, it'll be a maintenance call.
Oh,
Um, all good. I'll get back to her. Yeah. So as far as like offering additional services and things like that, I'm not going to get into electrical work, right? I'm not going to get into something well, me specifically, I've, I've, I value my time quite a bit.
okay.
And if it's not something that I can easily knock out, real quick, or, go there and get the job done, then I'm probably not going to do it. I'll outsource it. Um, but really, like that same business model can be used against anything, right? So if you need a ceiling fan done, and you'll charge this much, you call around to a couple different handymen that are in town, that might know how to do that, and you can have them come over and do it, for maybe $75, right? And then you charge the client, 125, and there you go. All you're doing is brokering that relationship. You're not getting your hands dirty too much. You're making a little bit of cash. You have a new relationship with a nice handyman that can do cool stuff like that. Client's happy, whatever, whatever. With me specifically, where I think like the big money jobs are, is like really the focus on like big home service jobs, like home service, upgrades or repairs, I guess, would be like the power washing, right? Like the deck, the driveway, power washing the house. Power washing in general is a really, what I've noticed to be a pretty good cash intake job.
Hmm.
When you can go out, I spent $200 on a power washer, an electric one, and I'll be getting a larger one here. Fits back in the back of my car, and I go plug it in, and I can knock out a deck and make 15 to $1,800 in a day. Right,
Yeah.
like easy, right? It's tough work, but it gets a little hot sometimes, this, that, and the other. But something like that. So I will say, I'll kind of wrap up here with, and then knowing your balance of, um, knowing your balance of how much you actually want to give out to your employees or to your subcontractors, right? Because if it's a job that's $1,800, it's like could I go do this and just make $1,800, or is this something that I should try to subcontract out? Right. Like I have a guy that can go do a power washing job, but I'm going to pay him $900 to go do this. I could go make 1,800, and then, a little bit of sweat and labor from myself just pads my pockets that much more. So, um, yeah, I guess I'll kind of wrap up with that. As far as like the extra services that I'm really trying to offer would be more so like power washing stuff
That's cool. And
and
then
window washing.
yeah, window washing. Did you have any like cleaning jobs where you upsold power washing during that job, or were you just like when you started power washing, you had like ads that were specifically targeting people that wanted to get power washing, or like how did the like idea come to you where it's like I should get into power washing?
Yeah, so I was actually on one of my Airbnb clients, the one that just called. We were there for like our second clean, and I had showed up to the house, and I noticed that their front porch was, or their front cement patio entrance area was really dirty, very, very dirty. And I took out my phone and sent her some pictures and asked her if she wanted to get this cleaned up and I could take care of it for her. And she said, yeah, sure. I ended up selling her on the job, and um, went and bought a power washer, came back a couple days later and knocked it out, got paid like $340 or something for just that front entrance. And I was like, damn, well, that just paid myself back for the power washer plus some.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 weeks later, I had another job where I had told him over the phone, hey, by the way, we do power washing as well. And when I was there, it was already a deep clean in a decently sized house, so his bill was already pretty high up there. And I had mentioned that we'll do the front porch and the back deck. It was a very big back deck, mind you. But I said $2,000, we'll get it done for you. He's kind of hemming and hawing over it a little bit, and I said, well, look, think about it. How about this? I'll go knock out the front porch, the front area for $200, and if you love it and it looks good and you're happy with it, then we can talk about the back deck. He said, okay, fine. So I went and knocked out the front deck, the front area, and he loved it. It
He's
looked
like, holy
great. I
shit.
did, took my time on it and did a great job, made $200. But the real meat was the 1,800 that was left
Yeah.
over. But he looked at it and he loved it, and he's like, yeah, absolutely, knock out the back deck. I was like, cool, let's do it. So yeah, quick $200 investment in an electric power washer, and I made 2,500 bucks, $2,400 off of it in less than 20 days, 18 days,
Oh,
something like that since I bought it. So yeah, little jobs like that, definitely help.
sweet. And then now that you're not like really doing much of like the fulfillment and like the labor because you have four teams, what would you say was the hardest part to get to that transition where it's like now I have four solid providers. I'm going to be overseeing them, managing them, making sure that they're doing everything at A plus quality 100%. Was like finding the providers in the beginning like very difficult for you, or was it just kind of like getting them onboarded and having them be bought in? Like walk me through that process when you got started with everything.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was difficult. It's a very, like setting up your Indeed post, right? Running your Indeed ad, getting your applicants, sorting through what makes sense, based on locations and how much availability they have, then interviewing them. That's all easy, right? It's making sure that they actually follow through with what they say, right? And when
Mhm.
I say easy, yes, it's easy. It's mundane work that takes a lot of time, which some would maybe say hard. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily that it's difficult. It just takes a long time to find the right people. And in the beginning, that was my issue. It wasn't again that it was hard. It was just I need to find the right person. So it was a very continuous process, very continuous process. Hey, I'm going to get 10 or 15 applicants. Sometimes I'd go through the entire list and not find one. Like none of you are really qualified, or can do this or that or the other. um but yeah, I think in total I spent like a couple $100 on Indeed, which isn't a lot, and ended up finding my people. But it took almost 2 months, a month and a half. I have the
Mhm.
team that I have now, and I'm pretty solid. But that was the biggest part, because the team, um that was the hardest part. I would say it is the hardest part, because I mean, if you don't have a good team, you're gonna get people who want refunds. You're gonna get unsatisfied customers. You're gonna get people who cancel their reoccurring, and all of those things have happened to me in this short 2 months, right? And where crap, they don't want this cleaner. I have to go, or the cleaner doesn't show up, so I have to go, or certain situations like that. So, waiting through those weeds and finding reliable, good cleaners who are ready to show up at a moment's notice and do a good job has
Mhm.
definitely been, the challenge. But I feel like I'm past that right now. Obviously, it'll continue to be a challenge as things continue to grow. Luckily, these people can handle probably another 40 or 50% more work already. But yeah, that was the trickiest part to get through, the longest part to get through, but everything seems like it's going pretty well now. I have a pretty solid team of people.
And then do any of your cleaners have teams of themselves, or are they just all like you have four individual providers, or do you have someone that has like three helpers that can like do work like when you started onboarding these four people?
Yeah, so it's all singles right now. Now they have like a couple of them have mentioned to me, hey, like, are you looking for anybody else? I have a friend, or I have, a couple of them has said that. And I'm not opposed to it, but just not right now. And I've told them, like, look, when I can get you as busy as you want to be, then I can talk about bringing on somebody else, your friend, right? But like my goal is to make sure that you have enough money in your pocket
Yeah.
every week. I don't want to worry about your friend, before I have to.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it very limited. So yeah, it's four people, all singles. If there is people that need to work together, I pair them on jobs pretty frequently. They work well together, building a little cohesive team. So it's been pretty good.
That's awesome. And then did you touch Indeed, or not Indeed, because you said that you spent a couple $100 on Indeed, but like the referral based method with, did you check out like the Facebook groups or like the next door community like in your local area? Did you try to do any hiring in that aspect too, or was it just Indeed, I got approved, let me send out this application, and then you just got all the applicants, so you're like, cool, like this works, I'm just gonna hire through Indeed.
Yeah, so I definitely got some people through Facebook initially. That's how I started it at first. Because at first I didn't want to spend any money other than what I had to. I was like, I'm
Hmm.
not going to spend anything unless I have to spend money. So I'm going to try this method first, right? Or
Yeah.
try this first. Um, and um, basically, I tried Facebook, the groups. I joined all the different groups, without spamming, you know what I mean? Trying to
Yeah.
find people and, looking up cleaning, cleaning posts and then seeing the people that replied and, adding them as friends and messaging them. Like it's a lot of work. I would say, and you're not necessarily finding people who are looking for a job. Um, right. They're looking for like a quick way to make money, but like, it's a different kind of candidate. Right. And you can kind of come off a little wrong sometimes. I feel like, okay, I'm just randomly hitting you up on Facebook. Do you want to work for me? Like, I don't know. I like, I never really respected that kind of chase. So I cut that out pretty quick and moved to Indeed. And I'd rather pay for Indeed just because I would rather have the candidate come to me saying, hey, I want a job. Hey, I want a
Yeah.
job. Right. And that's what Indeed is, as opposed to me coming to them trying to, persuade them to work for my company.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I did find a lot more success through Indeed.
What we also like to do with like the referral based method as well is just like having that like backlog of cleaners where it's like you have your team of four, they're crushing it. They still have about like 40-50% of the occupancy that you can fill them for. But let's just say one of your four ladies, she has three cleans tomorrow, and then she hits you up the night before being like, oh, I'm sick, like I can't do any of my cleans tomorrow. You look at your calendars for your other cleaners, they're busy. Now you have an Excel sheet where maybe instead of reaching out to them on the Facebook groups or next door being like, hey, like, do you want to work for me? Having that initial conversation with them where it's just like, hey, do you clean in this area? You get on a call with them with no intention of onboarding them, but just saying like, hey, I have a cleaning business in this area. We're going to be eventually scaling into these different counties, and we're going to probably be scaling relatively soon. So I just wanted to reach out to you. I saw that you were recommended and referred by someone in the community, which is amazing. Like, I don't know if you're looking to take on more jobs in the foreseeable future, but I might have some extra work for you down the road that I can connect you with and give you an opportunity to pick up a couple jobs every once in a while there and there. If that's something that you want me to keep you in the loop about, cool. Like, I'll add you to my list. And then if anything comes up, you'll be the first person that I reach out to. So now you have a list of like 5 or 6 people that you've had that conversation with, where it's like last minute clean instead of you having to go to the job and do the 3-4 hour clean. Now you can reach out to Susie that you had a conversation with a month ago because you saw her getting recommended like on a Facebook group on a next door
So
community.
let me hit on that too. Let me hit on that too. Is I do think there's value in that for sure. Having um a backlog of people, definitely. And I think I have like 5 or 6 people. I obviously they're friends. A couple other cleaners that have come on just for work like that where I've had them do one or two cleans and I've spot checked and I'm like, yeah, you're good. I'm like, well, I'll get you when I need you type of thing. But as far as like my core focus group is 4 people. And what I've been really, really like clear about to them is that this is a part-time job. This is a part-time job right now. Maybe next summer it's going to be a full-time job because I have enough work right now that I could keep 2 cleaners probably busy full-time. But I
Yep.
don't want to do that because then you're going to run it. If you run into a situation like what you're talking about, then you're SOL.
Hmm.
Um, so I've done it in a way where I've positioned it as a part-time job, and one person at a time will move up to a full-time position, and that'll be the best cleaner, every couple of months, kind of is how I'm,
Yeah.
imagining it in my head, right? That way I have someone who's on board, doing 2, 3, 4, 5 cleans a week, in a part-time manner. And they're happy. They understand that it's a part-time job. They get that. So they don't have any of these huge expectation of long work hours or, big, big, big paychecks or anything like that. And they do a really good job.
Hmm.
And they're always ready to take more work. So in your situation, I have, that happens. Somebody doesn't call in. I've positioned myself now where it's an easy call. If cleaner A doesn't show up, well, I can call B, C, and D, and they're ready to take the work almost
Exactly.
immediately.
And it's not like now you don't have to be asking them like, oh, like what are your expenses every month? And they're like, oh, it's $4,000 and like you need this to be a full-time position. Like they're expecting you to just give them a massive workload in the beginning. And something that I'll say about Parker's business recently, his very first cleaner that he onboarded, Teresa, she hasn't left yet. And she's been recently bumped up from like consistently like 35 to 40-hour weeks. And now she's doing like 55-hour weeks, just working like a fucking racehorse. And up until like 5 weeks ago, she's gotten like 3, 4, 5 consecutive back-to-back complaints about like how she's doing on like the actual performance of the clean and like just like little miscellaneous stuff that he's had to like kind of iron out with her. And I'm like, dude, like you're overworking her. Like she's burning out. Like clearly, like it's not like it's just one person that's complaining about this. Now it's a pattern. And now that there's a
Yeah.
pattern, there's a problem. So like not overworking your cleaners, especially someone that's been there since day one, that is loyal to you, that respects you, that
Well, yeah, and that's something that like I said, the all of them right now are women except for my service-based guy that I have on board. And it is my goal to take care of them as best as I can. I 98% of the time they're getting overpaid. Granted, I've done a little bit of things in my company. I bumped up my
yeah,
minimum cost to $60 an hour. Um,
that's
so
awesome.
I'm charging a little bit more in my area, which is nice. Um, so I'm able to pay them a little bit more. I'm paying them anywhere between 30 and $35 an hour, depending on the job and what I get for the job, right? So they are taken care of, and that's something that I always want to do. And then this that second piece there is just setting the right expectations with them, right? Like if I don't want, I'm not going to tell someone, yeah, we're going to get you a lot of work, we're going to get you a lot of work, yada yada yada, and then not, and then they're pissed
They're
because
like,
their
what the fuck?
expectations are shot. It's like, no, it's like find the really good cleaners that are okay with a part-time job right now, and they're still getting anywhere between 550 and $750 a week. I mean, it's not bad money by any means, not great, but if they're okay with that, then awesome, right? And then you can grow into them and you get multiple of those. They all have open schedules, and it's like you can really move people around. So very, very rarely anymore um, will I have to go help. Sometimes I will, like, just to be nice. Like if I
Mhm.
schedule it for, I think we can get it done in 8 hours. So I'll schedule one cleaner on it for 8 hours. They like to do that because they make a little bit more money. They're on it all day, so they get all the money for it. That's an easy $250 day for them. For me, you know what I mean? That's easy.
Yeah.
Um, but if maybe it takes like 10 hours because I tried to squeeze it in on a whole day for them, I'll go at the end of the night and work, for 2 or 3 hours just to try to get them out of there early. Like I do that sometimes and stuff, but um, sometimes I get their cleaning supplies for them. Like, hey, you don't have the right stuff. Like I'm going to go use the company card and go to Menards and just buy you all the stuff you need. It's like $80. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all the little sprays, like what's $80 to make sure that they have everything that you want them to have. Right.
Yeah. The
So
little
again,
things,
little
little
things
things
like
go a
that,
long
making
way.
sure they're taken care of definitely important. I have really good relationships with all of them. That's very, like on a friendly basis, and just, good vibes, keeping them happy and making sure everything's Gucci.
Sweet. And then for everyone watching this that hasn't started this business yet, you've done the hard part. You've gotten those first two providers onboarded. The hardest part is finding the two people that are willing to accept that it's going to be a part-time position, and then having like that patient waiting game where it's like, all right, they're onboarded now. Like you're going to be going back and forth, divvying up the cleans to maybe the one or the two providers that you onboard, and then they're there to stay after 3, 5 weeks of getting work where they're bought into everything that you're doing. They're getting consistent work, etc. But you said that you had a good relationship with your providers and your school post, I think a few days ago, and you said that now you're looking at like possibly bringing on like a virtual assistant in the next couple of weeks or the next 45 days or so. Would you be kind of tailoring a VA towards the sales side in the beginning, or now that you have those solid relationships with your providers, would you have them start on like the management side for your cleaners, or what's like your headspace with getting a VA and start delegating yourself not entirely out of the business, but like little by little for each of the echelons and verticals of everything that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I think this the route that I'm going to take. So part of my, just a little quick background, part of my um, professional career is working with and building overseas teams. I've built teams that are 50 people, right? From the Philippines, from India, Pakistan. So I have a lot of experience working with like VAs and stuff like that. However, um, the sales side of it, I think, is what I would struggle with the most, right? So to answer your question, I think I would be more apt to having them do a lot of the back end stuff. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done in the business, a lot of stuff that I'm not even getting to fully because of my other full-time job, and
Yeah.
mostly just waiting until I get the person in here to start doing it for me. Um, and I think I can maintain the sales side of it for a little while here, and a little bit of that orchestration. Where I want to bring in a VA is to handle a lot of the marketing and outreach, taking care of a lot of that stuff initially, learning how to, like, hey, if we need more cleaners, knowing how, and the process behind starting up the Indeed ad again and replying to them and getting the qualified list in front of me to interview, and then having them eventually interview, right? But all the back end stuff. And then probably like the sales portion and managing the actual calls will probably come in a little bit later. And when I say later, like, maybe 30 days after they get hired,
Yeah.
right? 60 days after they get hired. But I want them to really understand the business. And through that, I think they'll start understanding some pricing too as they start dealing with more stuff inside of Booking Koala. That's the biggest thing, right? It's like what to price. You can't always leave it up to Booking Koala and the preset prices, right? If I did, I definitely would not have made $15,000,
Oh yeah.
last month.
100%.
Um, so there's always upsells, kind of gauging on how big the house, who the person is, really what kind of work we're going to be doing. If you can sell it at $50 an hour, 55 or 60 or $85 an hour, if it's pressure washing or whatever it might be. I think that's going to be the biggest learning curve for a VA. I don't know yet. Obviously, I'm not here, but everything else can be driven by a system, process, and a checklist. Whereas like sales, it can to a point, but when you start getting into the size of houses and things like that, I think it just gets a little bit more vague.
Yeah, no, 100%. And what I would do, my advice for you before you like onboard a VA is get in the habit, get a Loom enterprise account, like get a business account for Loom. Everything that you do on the operating side, just record on a Loom video. Have a Google Drive within your workspace, have 6 different folders for every single aspect of the business. You go to do another Indeed application next week for whatever reason, show yourself doing the Indeed application, show them like how you submit it, go through a vetting process. You have to update a booking on Booking Koala, do that. You have to schedule something, you have to pay your provider, like every single thing that you possibly do on a day-to-day, just start recording Loom videos for. And now when you get a virtual assistant, you've already done 25% of the work, which is just like the stuff that they can now look at in their free time to be getting trained up, getting onboarded. Obviously, you're still going to want to have those Zoom calls with them every single day for multiple hours over the day where they kind of just watch and oversee you, like everything that you're doing inside the business so they can kind of take note of it. But building out SOPs now is going to save you so much stress and so much time down the road once you eventually bring in a VA, because you might bring in a VA and they're not a good fit and you just wasted 40, 60 hours training on them just to find out that they're not a good fit. So now you can have like a prereq for them where it's like, hey, watch all these video modules first, and then I'm going to start training you and see if this is something that we can do together. But every single thing that you can possibly think of, or when you do it the first time, just make a Loom video, put it in a Google Drive. Just like make that a habit because
Yeah.
that's the best way that these people will learn. It's just like seeing you do it yourself.
Right. No, I like that. That is, I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the video piece, Google Drive stuff will definitely come in handy. I'll definitely have to do that for sure.
Sweet. And then, yeah, so I kind of, you've been going for about 30 minutes or so. I know that you're a busy person. I don't want to waste too much of your time. We can end on this. What do you expect to see yourself doing by the end of the year going into 2025? And like, what's your just overarching goal with this business that you started a few months ago? I know that you said that you wanted to scale more into like power washing and other services, but like, where do you see yourself on like maybe like a revenue number down the road, short term, long term goals? I know that a lot of people like the business model as well because of the enterprise value where you can eventually cash out. Is that something that you want to do, or do you want to automate this and start building a portfolio of multiple home services businesses that you can then manage and operate and oversee? Like, what's your like kind of end game with this and your vision for the short and the long term?
Yeah, no, good question. I would say the latter. The last one you said there would be to build kind of uh, a whole portfolio of businesses, continue to build that portfolio and grow them, right? Like as far as like revenue goes, like if I could be hitting, 25,000 a month consistently by like December, like, stick, 17, if I can hit 17 or 20 in October, see if I can, keep the same around November. I don't want to set too lofty of goals for this year because it's my first winter, right? I don't know really
Yeah.
what to expect, but um, my goal throughout all of next year and by December, end of next year, I would like to be doing 50K a month. And I don't think that could even be really low. I think it could be a low goal
Like
depending
12 months
on
from now, or
yeah.
yeah, no, 100%, bro.
Yeah, and like, and realistically, like my realistic goal would be 100K. Like whether that's going to take 2 or 3 years, I don't know. There's obviously a lot more to build out. I know it can be done. It's
100%.
just replicating the model. Once I have a VA in place, and once I have the sales piece in place figured out, and I have it running without me, then it's just replicating that to different cities.
Yeah.
And it's like it's hiring a director of sales in every city. That director of sales is your VA, right? And they run your business in that city. And that's kind of like the method that I want to approach with it. And like, sure, there might be a time when I want to cash out, but it's not going to be for 250K. It's going to
Yeah.
be for fucking 5 or 10 million because my company's doing 150 $250,000 a month across a tri-state region. Um, that's really what I envision for this. And then off of that can bridge multiple different service-based companies. I'd also like to, I'm starting to get into real estate to get my real estate license. And then eventually down the line, I would like to own or open up a rental management company, a property management company, and be an actual certified property manager. So then I can open up my Airbnb, all the Airbnb clients I have to then manage them under me. There's a whole different avenue you can go with that. Um, and then obviously the different service-based businesses that would potentially pop up, outside of cleaning. Obviously there's power washing, and whatever else might make sense.
Would you tap into Christmas lights this season or permanent LED light installations down the road? Is that something that you've thought about or no?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good, quick way to make money for a season, on a seasonal aspect. I don't want to spend my time on the infrastructure of setting that up right now, to be honest with you, because yes, I do think you're going to be whoever does it
Well,
does it,
do
it
you
does.
have a person in mind or a crew in mind? Because what you can easily do is if you know someone that you don't have to like onboard through Indeed. Like if you have a personal relationship with someone that has a roofing experience or has even like landscaping experience where it's like their slow season, just reach out to all your recurring clients, see if it's something that they want to do, and then you don't even have to market it. You can just have your buddy or your friend or your connection do the installs. You pay them $50, $60 an hour. It's a $2,500 ticket. They do the install, they do the uninstall, they get tipped out by the client as well. You're making 45 to 55% margins. We have a supplier plug that I can connect you with for the Christmas lights too. But it's like, and you just DBA it. You just DBA. You don't have to start
Hmm.
a new LLC. It's in your market. The reason why I got a new LLC in Parker is because My business is down here in Miami. He's in Madison, Wisconsin, but we're doing this in Chicago where he grew up. So like we need to get a new business. So that's why we filed it or whatever, like a couple weeks.
Okay.
But if you're just doing it in your market, you can leverage and exhaust your recurring clients that you have good relationships with, just saying like, hey, this is just another service that we offer. If this is something that you're interested in, I'm sure there's some older couples or people that have money that you're cleaning for that just don't want to do the light installation because they don't have the time or they're just old and don't want to do it themselves, where you can present that to them. But it's just like a seasonal thing that you can take advantage of if you have
Yeah, I
the
mean that is a good. I mean, I didn't even think about hitting my current list. And that's yeah, no, I do think it's a good idea.
Dude, and then it's
I'm
just
just
like
so laser.
a couple yard signs on busy street corners. You don't even have to set up another, like, we're not going to be setting up LSA. We're not going to have a Google business profile for this. We're doing yard signs, door hangers, and then just exhausting our relationships in Chicago. And then maybe
Well, see,
some,
that's my problem though, is I still got to do all that stuff for my business, my
yeah,
cleaning business. You know what I mean? So it's like I got to get the door hangers. I haven't done any door hangers, any yard signs. And like my thing and like what I've practiced and preached is yes, I think it's a good idea for sure. Like quick money, you can, send it to my current email list and try to capture some good business for the thing, for the winter. But like I already have in my mind, I already have the cleaning business that's being successful and I'm continuously growing it.
yeah,
I don't want to take my too much attention off of that either. Um, I try to stay in the lane a little bit. Once I hit like my revenue goals and stuff, I'll be more apt to like looking at it. But no, I think it's a good idea. Just again, just a quick email to my current list. And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
yeah,
definitely,
that,
yeah,
that there's
definitely.
no there's nothing there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's probably something I will do, because it's just another service, right?
Because if you do it for them this season, it's like they're going to do it next year,
Yeah,
assuming that you
for
do it.
sure.
So now it's like that $2,000, $3,000 ticket is once a year. And
Right.
you buy the lights and you don't they don't keep the lights. You just uninstall them and then you can either throw them in inventory or you can throw them out just because of the margins are so good. What we're going to be doing if we have success this season is we're probably going to purchase $50,000 worth of lights at a 30% discount in January and store them at Parker's parents' place for the year. Just like now our cost of goods are cheaper for next year. Or we do even like a bigger
That's
order.
a good idea. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I mean, because one of the things that I do want to I would like to get this year. I'm not sure on it because I want to get into carpet cleaning as well. But I want to buy the equipment,
Mhm.
um, and have it on hand because I think there's a lot of money in that, up especially where I'm at. People just pay buco dollars where I'm at for everything. It's nice.